today I want to talk about how leaders can navigate through conflict resolution. Now, it's a difficult one because obviously, as a leader, okay, I believe the definition of leadership is living by example. So, when it comes to two different parties who are in conflict with each other, whether it's within your team or other teams, it's important for you to understand that this really comes down to a clash in values, maybe a clash in vision, and a clash in velocity. But essentially, it's a communication issue. What do I mean by this? Essentially, it's looking like that there are two different parties who don't see eye to eye. When we think about what a vision is, it's being able to have some sort of sight of the future, your version of the future that you want to realize. And of course, if two different parties don't see eye to eye in what that looks like, of course they're going to clash. Okay. The second thing that underbeds all of this stuff is values. So values are the things that you deem as important. So if people see things as important and the other party doesn't see the same thing as important, there's going to be a clash. Okay, because obviously values really come out in terms of behaviors and what we do and all of that kind of stuff there, which can all be measurable as well. And of course, if person A or group A wants to move at a certain speed, but person B doesn't want to move at that same speed, there's going to be a clash. And this is where conflict comes into play. And so as a leader, there has to be some level of proactiveness. Okay. And what do I mean by that? Well, there's this whole idea of the locus of control, and it really means that you're in a situation, a position where you focus truly on what you can control, okay, in your influence, and also what you can influence. I just said the same word again, but that was the second point. So control and influence, those are the two things that you should focus on, but anything outside of that, you can't really do much about. And so this is contingent upon you to, number one, be clear about the facts, okay? Be clear about what is the specific aim from each party, okay? And what are they trying to do? What are they trying to do? Because they may be trying to do the same thing, but their approach is slightly different. And as the leader, okay, it is your responsibility to clear the air because you mandate things. You ensure that there is clear governance, so to speak, okay? They may be trying to seek approval from yourself, okay? So these are all things to bear in mind. Now, of course, obviously, if they don't see eye to eye, this is an opportunity to create a scenario where you can sit them down and allow them to air out what their thoughts are. Okay, so you kind of have to sandwich this in a way. You have to be a really good facilitator in a sense that when person A is speaking, person B needs to not speak. Person A needs to say everything that they need to say, okay, with respect and really create a sense of peace of mind. Person B needs to internalize this information. As the facilitator or the leader, you need to say, okay, have you heard everything that you needed to hear from person A? You allow person B to speak. Okay, they say what they need to say in response to that, etc., etc. And you keep on doing this until it gets to a point where they feel like they've been heard. This is not about emotional attacks or anything like that. As the facilitator, you need to set the conditions for learning. You need to set the conditions for learning. Now, I was going to define I think it was Peter Northhouse definition for leadership. Again, if I've got that name wrong, apologies, you can check it out for yourself. But essentially, he defines leadership as a process, okay, a process an individual takes or does in order to influence a group of individuals towards a common or shared goal. So thinking about this is the process that we're talking about, okay? And this is the influence that we're talking about amongst that group. So we understand here that there's a strategy to this, or there's steps to this, should we say, because it's a process. The influence part is you being, okay, living by example, or acting as the facilitator in this situation. The group of people, of course, are the parties involved, but it's understanding that there is a shared goal. We should all be in this together. And if those values are made clear, if you remind people of the vision, the values, and the velocity of the organization, okay, and of the team or portfolio, whatever it may be, then there is clarity there. So, of course, I've seen this as a coach, I've seen this as a colleague, I've seen this as a contractor, where there is a clash of values, and I've sat people down in order for them to see eye to eye. So again, we go through that piece where they talk about each different bit, etc., etc. And then you may go for a piece where it's like, what would you like to see from person A? What would you like to see from person B? They talk about all of this stuff. And once they talk about these things, you want to highlight, okay, cool, guys, you said your different pieces. What do you think you could compromise on. Person A speaks, person B speaks. And once you come to that, you keep on going back and forth, acting as the facilitator, acting as the grounded person until you come to some agreed set of actions. So you're walking them through this path, okay? You're allowing them to air out whatever they need to air out, and you're walking them through this path. Now, of course, you could be using something like T-GROW, so that's topic, goal, reality, options, and what will you do, so to speak, as an opportunity to sort of like basically facilitate this whole journey. But you don't have to do that either. You can just go through the different points that I've spoken about. So with that in mind, once you have those actions, you agree this, okay? You follow up with an email, maybe it's some sort of contractual language, whatever it may be. And once you follow up with an email, you make sure that you measure progress or success, and you have a follow-up meeting. And it may seem like overkill and all this kind of stuff there, here and there, blah, 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 blah. But if you want to make sure that this conflict doesn't happen again, and that there is smooth running of the business or delivery or operations or whatever it may be, this is the process that you would go through. So hopefully that's given you a bit of a framework and giving you some things to think about when it comes to, again, conflict resolution and how to manage it as a leader. It takes time, it takes patience, but it's reliant upon you as the facilitator, as the person of influence, to go through this process to ensure that you make sure that these group of people are working towards a common and shared goal. See what I did there? Okay. So hopefully this has given you some perspective. If you're looking for a coach to help you within your leadership development and you're needing some help, maybe with your communication, maybe you want some help with your operations and strategic thinking, whatever it may be, then let's have a conversation. We can sit down and we can go through those different things. If you want to see more things centered around leadership, life management, and portfolio careers, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, my friends, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.